If your facility needs an MRI machine, one of the first questions you'll face is open, close, or wide bore. But what's the real difference? And which one is actually best for your facility? In this video, we'll break down each MRI type's pros and cons so you can make the right call for your patients and your bottom line. My name is Steve, and I've been working with MRIs for over 20 years. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly why you would choose any of these three options and be ready to make a choice for your facility's MRI purchase. And with so many factors to consider, image quality, patient comfort, space requirements, and long-term costs, it's easy to feel overwhelmed. And to make this even easier, we put together a free MRI buyer's checklist covering everything from costs to installation requirements. You can grab it in the description below. But first, let's break down the key differences between these MRI systems. Let's start with the most common type. A closed bore MRI, or standard bore, is the traditional option. And these systems have been around for over 25 years. Many are still on the market and being used every day in clinical settings. The closed shape of the bore, which refers to where the patient enters the MRI, is 60 centimeters in diameter and allows for a powerful magnetic field, typically either 1.5 or 3 Tesla. Here are some things to consider when looking at a standard closed bore system. On the positive side, because these have been around for years, there is a much wider availability for these units. And as such, acquisition costs tend to be lower than the wide bore options, which we'll discuss in a moment. On the negative side, patients who struggle with claustrophobia would likely have the most difficulty with a system like this. Some engineers have noted that in many cases, these 60 centimeter bore systems can be more stable from a homogeneity standpoint than their wider bore counterparts, which helps from a maintenance standpoint. The next option to consider is the wide bore MRI. As its name implies, the wide bore MRI has a larger patient opening than the standard bore. You might not think the 70 centimeter opening would make much of a difference, but from a patient comfort and accessibility standpoint, the change is noticeable. This configuration has been widely available since around 2010 and is offered by all manufacturers. Here are some things to consider when looking at wide bore systems. The 70 centimeter wide MRIs are much more comfortable for larger patients and those with claustrophobia, and as such could result in increased throughput for that reason alone. These systems are going to be more expensive than their 60 centimeter counterparts. Expect to spend at least 25% more. There's not as much supply out in the market, especially for the newer models, and they tend to be in higher demand. Because the majority of systems manufactured in the last 15 years or so have been in the wide bore configuration, you're not only getting a wide bore, you're also getting a better level of technology. Finally, we have open MRIs. Open MRIs are configured for patient comfort and accessibility. They're often C-shaped or clam-shaped, and the patient doesn't need to enter a tube in the same way that they do a closed or wide bore MRI. For this reason, they are much more patient-friendly and great for children or patients uncomfortable with other MRI types. They're also popular for veterinary use. Some things to consider when looking at open MRI. There are two main types. The first uses a permanent magnet and does not use helium. And for this reason, the field strength is limited and ranges from about 0.3 T to 0.4 T. This results in lower image quality as compared to a 1.5 or a 3 T. And these magnets also tend to be quite heavy and must be located on a ground floor. Because they don't use any helium, maintenance costs are lower than other types of MRI. The second type are referred to as high field open MRIs. These use helium, which can boost the field strength to 1 Tesla to 1.2 Tesla, still less than the closed bore and wide bore systems. These magnets are lighter weight, but siting costs can still be rather high, and the service options are more limited in some cases. Pricing will generally be lower for an open MRI. So while open MRI systems offer unmatched comfort and accessibility, they do come with trade-offs. At the end of the day, there's no one-size-fits-all MRI machine. Closed bore offers the best image quality, wide bore provides a middle ground between comfort and performance, and open MRI is ideal for accessibility, but comes with some imaging limitations. Your choice depends on your patient demographics, space requirements, and long-term budget. If you're still weighing your options, we put together a free MRI buyer's checklist to help you compare systems side by side and avoid any costly mistakes. You can grab it using the link in the description below. While we've covered the difference in bore sizes, there's still more to think about. I mentioned 3T and 1.5T systems earlier, But for a more in-depth video about Tesla's strength and whether you'd benefit from more power, check out the video we made about it here. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.